All right, so yeah, another way to kind of reduce your hands-on time, obviously, is automating, which some of these examples have already created places where you can automate. Another way to automate some of our processes, obviously this will depend department by department, different procedures. Decluttering your physical space, so going back to one of the first points of clearing out your physical space, different piles of unprocessed papers, for example. Going paperless when you can. We do have a tool called Docusign, which is pretty helpful for this. Even in instances when you just need to sign one piece of paper and send it back to someone, you're going through the, okay, let me go print this out. I have to sign it. Now I have to go and scan it to myself. Now I'm going to rename the file. Now I'm going to send it back to them. I think everyone's probably done that 100 times. So Docusign can make this a lot easier. So I'll pull up mine just to show you what that looks like. Yes, you should all have Docusign accounts.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you go to the docusign.vset.edu, you have to put the request in there to get one. I think and there's instructions that'll show that, but not by default. You have access to it though. It's paid for. I think it's docusign.vset.edu. Is that what it is? If you just put in VCU Docusign, it'll take you to the main home screen and technology services. And then it'll, on the menu, it'll say request an account. I'll try the login to production. That may actually work. I can't recall now. We've done ours so long ago. You might be able to just put in your EID and go from there, Laura.
Yeah, I was able to create an account. It's not with my VCU password, so it's kind of like an independent account, but I just used the email address to log in. But just as an example, so something that I use, so I work with an organization outside of VCU to track hours. So I have an Excel sheet where I go through and I take a specific portion, I download it, make it a PDF. Then I upload it to Docusign. So I have my own virtual signature. So Danny helped me make mine. So I went into Photoshop and he helped me make my own virtual one because I just think it looks cool. You can also have they have different preset fonts that you can use as well for your signature. And then you can add things like the date. You can add a bunch of different stamps to it as well. So if you need to like enter a specific field here, whatever that might be. So you can also do things like create templates. Sorry, April, did you have a question?
So is there a benefit to using this service versus just using like Preview, and you have the signature function there as well?
In like Adobe?
No, like in Mac Preview, there's like a signature function.
Yes, can we answer that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. DocuSign, you have different rights. So you could set up a document that also has workflow. So for instance, I'm not even sure who you report to. Let's say Krista, right? So if you have something that you need to sign, then it automatically goes to Krista. You can set that workflow in there as well. So for Preview, you're just basically bringing in a signature. Where here you're creating workflows. Plus you can take your own documents and pretty much create a template that makes it have the ability to be used by DocuSign. So then other people don't have to print it off, kind of what Katie was saying before. They can just open it up and sign it with DocuSign. The other thing, you can get all kinds of other fields in there. So you can create your title, you can create your phone number, you can create your address. And so anytime you get a document, you're basically just selecting those fields and it's going to pre-populate. So it's more than just your signature. But I think I like the workflow of it. So if I need it and I need Dr. Kirkwood to get it, I'll just add her email address. I put my signature in and then it'll immediately send it to her. Plus it also is then in managing that workflow. It lets you know that it automatically sent it to Dr. Kirkwood and I can keep an eye to see if she actually signed it. So you don't have that in Preview, obviously. I hope that helps.
Yeah. So it gives you the additional functionality. I think it also gives you a way to ensure that your signature was being it was you that was signing this document. It wasn't someone else that was pasting like an image into it, for example. It gives you more accountability as far as being able to trace it. Yeah.
As an example, In the business office, we've started using these a lot for HR forms because it incorporates the workflow, signatures. I don't have a piece of paper that is lost on my desk, and I can get to it whenever. So we found it very helpful.
So I just went to VCU, Docusign, whatever, and clicked the login production, and it took me right to like the central authentication. So it looks like the accounts are already there. All we have to do is kind of click on them and sign in.
Awesome. Yeah, I think DocuSign gives us a lot of functionality that isn't necessarily being used everywhere that we can kind of implement into. So for example, if you have forms that you sign out or you send out regularly, maybe forms for students, forms for faculty, staff, being able to create a template so you can say, I just need to send this out to this person and have these fields and be able to kind of automate things that way. So DocuSign has a lot of that functionality, which is really helpful.
So can we import any type of documents, PDF, Excel, Word, anything?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
So this could be a good strategy for when we have to complete a PDF for conflicts of interest disclosure when we're publishing a paper and you need multiple authors to sign on it. Oh, good.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah, Brad, what were you going to say? Yeah. Yeah, I think there are lots of ways just kind of going through, okay, here are the different functions. If you do have things with multiple signers, especially, DocuSign is a great option for making sure that it gets to all these people without having to wait on the turnaround time of maybe it's going to take a week to get back to you. And it's a virtual, you're able to just get to it from your computer. So another awesome tool called Yet Another Mail Merge that can automate some things for you. So it is a Google Sheets add-on, so it's already within your account. You don't have to do anything to add it to your account. I'll go ahead and pull it up so you guys can see. So we use this in FARTech to send out LexiComp codes. So whenever so there are codes that people need to access a particular application. We can then put them into like a spreadsheet form and be able to send out emails kind of automatically. So you're able to access it via add-ons. Start mail merge. Obviously, all of these have already been sent, so we won't see any sending. But you can then customize. So you go into your Gmail, and you can make whatever form you would like to send out in your drafts. So just to show you guys what that looks like. Here we go. So in order to automate that, it's pulling from my draft in my inbox. So you create your draft there of whatever you want to send out to 100 people. And you customize each one of these fields. So greetings, and then it'll pull from the column that is labeled first. And you can call these whatever you want. It's just giving it a place to reference. And then here are the instructions that everybody is going to follow the instructions the same way. Here's your randomly generated code that it's pulling from an Excel sheet. And here are some further instructions. So this is, I'm sure, I think, Carissa, you said that you had used this in your classes as well? Oh, no, Abby.
And Rachel does too.
Yeah.
So we try for most of foundations now, although mostly I guess P2, for anything that is graded in a form, and same thing with patient assessment for all of the faculty evaluated. It's filled into a Google form, it dumps into a spreadsheet, and then we send the students their score and feedback using this. And so it automates it completely, and it's amazing because then we don't have to return papers to mailboxes, sort through it. For me on the back end, I can look and see like, oh, is one person being crazy and rating everybody 0 versus like having to look through paper. I can see everything at once. And once you learn sort of the format, and for coding, I used to have TAs do it, but it's, for me, I can just do it very quickly and build, and I just save the template email and copy and paste, and it takes like 2 seconds, and the students have responded, I guess, very positive. I've not heard them whine or complain about not getting paper, and it allows us to be a lot faster. So we use this a ton.
Yes.
Mhm.
Or when it bounces back. Yep. So that's a big one. Because we do require faculty or evaluators to put in students' emails, because that's how, and at least for us, we make them type it. You have it as a drop down, but we still make them type. And so if there's a typo, it will show in the spreadsheet, oh, this one bounced. And so I can go look and forward that email to the student. You know, and it only happens maybe 1 or 2 each time out of 140, but then at least I know, like, oh, this one didn't go, and it tells you automatically, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's a very simple tool once you kind of figure out the basics of, let me go through and send my first email, to figure out how can I then utilize this to send out bulk batches of feedback reports, etc. They can also be scheduled for particular times if you want to set up your draft in your inbox and then say, oh, I want this to be sent out at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Just so then that's another kind of level of automation, so you don't have to physically be here to send this out, as like maybe a reminder email, something like that. There's also, so I linked here, there's a resource for yet another mail merge that'll kind of walk you through the basics of what symbols do you have to use, etc. I don't know, it's taking a little while to load right now, but it'll kind of walk you through different ways that you can set up your campaign. And yeah, this is just the process for it. You're creating your draft here. You go to your add-ons in Google Sheets and select Start Mail Merge. You pull from this draft that you have in your inbox, and it'll have all your drafts there, so you just have to select the correct one. And then it'll show you, how many people opened it, how many people maybe clicked on a link, or if they did something like bounce back and didn't ever receive it. And it'll also show you here in the email opened, or email never opened. It'll show you what happened with your email.
Once you draft it and send it to you first also, so that you can make sure that your coding is right, which I do like multiple times because I'm OCD, but it'll send it to you and it shows you what the exact it's going to look like before it sends all 140, which is really nice, because that way you're like, oh, I didn't put a right little caret or whatever, and then it's all messed up and you can catch that before it sends.
Right.
Well,
I know for Rachel, she builds her forms using all the students' names in a drop down that I'm sure you probably pull from Blackboard and drop in, and all their emails. For us, we just, the evaluators manually typing the student's name and their email, and it's pulling from that sheet that's associated with the form. So then you generate the mail merge using that specific sheet. And so like in P2 Lab, I end up with a total of like 5 or 6 individual sheets that I use this with that send out the information. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm,
yes.
mm-hmm.
I think that's why it's good to get the bounce back, because if somebody enters their email address incorrectly, or you did, then you'll see that in the report.
And I do, because you can sort it alphabetically, I do then copy and paste like the final score column into the spreadsheet to upload into Blackboard. So it's very seamless and very quick. I don't have to manually type all those in either. So it works very nicely.
Also, yeah, I think it helps to hear how other people are using these sorts of tools like Docusign and another mail merge, just to get an idea. We're all doing different things that could potentially be automated. And this is something that I used to TA, and I wish that I had this, because we had group assignments where we'd have, they all have their individual team groups where they all give a group presentation. And so then being able to kind of consolidate all their comments, maybe a link to your Google Doc with all the comments about your speech that I made. I wish I'd had this. So it's a really cool resource, and it makes things really easy, and it's really satisfying to send them all. Awesome. So that's what I had for you guys today. As far, obviously, as you could tell, there are lots of different ways that you can use these apps to automate parts of your workflow, or just to help you kind of self-organize or to organize within a team. So if you guys had any questions for me, I did want to create some space for you guys to ask if you had any additional questions. And I also wanted to ask what features you guys or what tools you wanted to learn more about, or if there was something that we did or didn't talk about today that you'd want to learn more about, to go ahead and just send it up to the poll everywhere, which I'll pull up. That's all I have for you guys. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and I can come around, and or you can send me an email. But I appreciate you guys coming, and yeah, I didn't expect the turnout to be so good. So thanks for showing up. I'll also upload the slides to the School of Pharmacy Blackboard. We can also send them out if people don't have access to that, just so you guys all have a copy.
Hey, Katie, one thing I want to mention, team drives, if you probably saw that notification in the last couple of weeks, especially if you have personal team drives, they've actually changed the name to shared drives. So that should, it's not team drives anymore, it's called shared drives. So, and that, I think that actually has already taken place at VCU too. I think last week it pushed it out. So if you can't find team drives, that's why. What's that? Oh, does it? Okay, then they hadn't pushed it out yet. It's already, for personal Gmail accounts, already changed the name to shared drives. So that's coming down the pipe.